Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Harrison's Garage. I'm Harrison and today we're going to be installing a light bar on the Ram. It's been a long time and we're finally getting around to it. Don't mind the mess back here. I got a lot going on with the 40, but in the background. So we're going to focus on what's up front here today. We've got the CJC Offroad brackets and the light bar. Now, the last truck I had, if you guys have been around the channel, follow me for a while, you know, it was a white truck. I had the CJC kit, included the Baja Designs light bar. It was a single row light bar. I believe it puts out about 12,000 lumens. I had their Baja Designs SAE 20-inch light bar. This time around, I was trying to be a little bit more economical, see what I could do and find for the money. And I went with this one here. It's the DV8 Elite light bar. It's a relatively new product. I purchased a light bar for the Jeep a couple years ago, and that was a DV8 light bar. At the time, they didn't have this series, at least not in the 50-inch that we went with for the Jeep. This one has all of the cooling fins and everything internalized behind this nice casing. There's a very slim bezel, and most importantly, it's a dual row. Unlike the Baja Designs light bar, which was a single row, and I thought, given the sort of proportions of the truck, this might just look better aesthetically from the front. So we've got the light bar, we'll pull that in a second, but first we're gonna take a look at the brackets from CJC here. Okay, so with the brackets, you get your mounting bolt and nut combo, sticker, a business card. So, and it looks like instructions. So if you need those. Now, these brackets, I'm gonna stop for a moment. They are supposed to come powder coated. The last time I bought this, when I bought the kit as a whole with the light bar, the brackets came as plain steel and you had to finish them yourself. So let's see how this powder coat finish looks. Okay. Not bad. It's not the best packing. It's just wrapped in cardboard, but they seem fine. And considering they'll be mounted hidden, I will say they look like they were powder coated without being deburred, or at least not very well. So there's a little bit of a, not sure if you can see this, on the edge there, there's a little bit of a coarse corner there, but it's not sharp or anything. It's just not very aesthetic. But on this side, it's been rounded over. So I think it's, you know, obviously not going to matter. You're not going to see it. But if that matters to you, maybe order them plain and then order them without the finish and finish it yourself. So that's the first bracket. And the second bracket looks just like the first one. So I think we're in business here. Okay, I wanted to bring you around just on the bench top here to kind of visualize how this is going to get mounted. There are mounting points in the bumper, factory points here. And then they're also at the bottom of the bumper here. And they're slotted, these holes are slotted to allow you a little bit of flexibility on the size of your light bar. Some light bars say 20-inch, like this is 20-inch, but from mounting point to mounting point, it's actually 22 inches. So this will slide over to give you a little flexibility with, you know, which, you know, bar you're gonna be putting in here. You can go all the way as shy as 20 inches or spread it apart a little bit and squeeze in a 22-inch bar. So that's kind of the orientation of this bracket setup, which I'll obviously run through on the truck outside, and which I'll obviously run through with you guys on the truck outside. Next up, let's review the light bar. Okay, I took the light bar out of the box, packing it came in, and it's packed very well. There is this other foam insert here, as well as some mounting hardware, which for us, we're not going to use. I mean, we might need the bolts, but these brackets we won't use. We're going to use the CJC brackets. But what I wanted to do is just talk a minute about this light bar and why I chose it. It is 200 watts, so if you're running on a 12-volt system, which most of you probably are, it's going to be about 16 amps. So make sure you hook it up to a fuse or a breaker in your fuse box, your PDC console, whatever it is, that can support that. But it's 200 watts. I believe there's 45 watt LEDs, and you can see them all in here. The product is really, I guess, well thought out. It's got a very slim bezel to it. You got the dual row lights here. It's not, a lot of light bars that are 20 inches are, two, 8 or 9 inch sections put together, and you've got the driving combo lenses here and then in the middle as well because they've been put together. This is one long spot and then the driving combo on the edge where they should be. I like that. This is, in terms of weather resistance, it's IP68 rated. The Baja Designs bar is slightly better at 69, which is, what they say is submersible to 9 feet. This is going to be not quite as robust, but in my experience, anything that is 68 or better on the vehicle, I'm not going to have any problems with. I've been doing this on vehicles for 5 years now. I haven't had any issues with any product that was rated 68 or better. If you have 67, you're just, it's going to be a matter of time. It might be a couple of months, it might be a year or two, but you will see a failure at that point somewhere along the line with your light product. It just depends on when you're going to get a heavy enough rain. So being 68 waterproof rated was one of my requirements. I did look at a few other bars that were not. I want to talk next about the color. This light bar is 5700K. It matches the color of the rock lights and the underglow lights on the truck. It matches very closely the headlight color on the truck. I don't know what the temperature is of the headlights exactly, but it seems very, very close. I know the Baja Designs bar is a 5000K. Their sort of auxiliary lights, their pod lights are also 5000K, which, you don't really see it unless you look close when they're running together. But that was something that always kind of, in terms of my OCD, got me a little bit on the last build, where my headlights were slightly bluer than the Baja Designs bar and the Baja Designs fog lights. But at 5700K, this will be the exact same, very similar color to the headlights and the exact same color as the rock lights and the underglow lights. So that was the final thing that kind of sold me on this bar. But yeah, so far I'm really liking it. If we just flip it over, you'll see there's some cooling. Well, actually this is a mounting track, so you can run a sort of a T-slot through here and mount it. But I believe the way they've constructed this, there you go. You can see the cooling fins are sort of internal here. I'd imagine if you mounted this bar sort of exposed to the wind, this would cut down massively on any sort of whistling you hear. But I really liked the sort of design, overall thought process on this, so that's why I went with this bar. Anyway, enough of that. We're going to jump under the truck next and work on actually getting this thing installed in the truck under the bumper. All right, guys, under the truck now, and just don't mind this. I'll talk about it in a little bit. I ran some wires last night for this light bar, but the first step in getting access to the light bar mounting area is to remove the valance, and it requires the removal of a bunch of these 10mm bolts, which I've already done. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up in here, we'll talk about that in a second, is 5. And come under here, you'll see 6, 7, 8, 9, and then up in here 10, 11 here, 12, 13 here, and 14. And then there is right here a clip and a similar clip on that side. And then the final thing we'll have to remove is this plastic clip here and this plastic clip right here with a non-marring pry bar. Now, this next bolt I wanted to talk about is probably the hardest bolt I've ever had to remove from sort of like a factory piece. This is definitely one of those things that was designed by an engineer, not a mechanic. The tow hook is behind this big steel, beam member here, and the valance attachments are right here, except right here it just jumps up for no real good reason other than to stay out of the way of this. And here you go, to get access to it, come up under here. I had to feed my ratchet spanner through this rubber sheet on that side behind the factory wiring harness, and then use one of those sort of pivoting attachments to feed the 10mm socket over to this bolt. I'll try and grab my ratchet spanner and show you that attachment here now. Okay, so this is the attachment on the spanner. You'll definitely need something like this in order to get access to that nut, and it is still not very easy. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other one on the right side and meet back up with you once I've got all this stuff popped off. Okay, I'm on the front side of the valance now, and I wanted to show you this clip removal. It's got a long center plug. Get something, a tool kind of like this, and get in there and just kind of work it back and forth until you get this center plug out, backed out as far as you can with the tool. And you'll see here it's kind of been backed out from this clip. Plugs out, and should now be able to pop the remaining clip out with our tool here. I'll try and get this with one hand. There you go. Sorry. There you go. So this came out without the plug, and now all you got to do is do that on the other side. Get the two final clips here, which you'll just depress with a flat screwdriver, and the valance will drop free. Okay guys, we've got the valance expertly cataloged over there. Now I have a much better unobstructed view of the sort of behind this grill where we're going to be installing the light bar. Let me put my phone up in here. Let me go ahead and put my phone up in here, and you'll see a little bit better where we're going to be attaching it. There's one point there, another 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to be utilizing this point and this point, so the middle 2 points there. And if we back it down, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 bolts. We're going to be using this bolt and nut and this bolt and nut, and that'll be our attachment point for our 2 brackets. Now, we've already got factory hardware to utilize here and here, but there's no hardware up here. The brackets come with hardware from CJC, and that's what this stuff is. So we'll be using these guys to go in there. So I'm gonna just go ahead and throw these brackets in there off camera, and then just show you what it looks like once they're kind of mounted. When you do mount your brackets, don't just throw them down super tight right away. They are slotted, as I mentioned, so you're going to need to move them sort of left or right, depending on how wide your light bar is when you go to install the light bar. Okay, I've gotten the 2 brackets mounted. It does take a little bit just to kind of figure out where you're going to put them. When I took a measurement of this light bar from very edge, basically the mounting edge to the mounting edge, I got 22 inches. And on the CJC website, I know these things are slotted to accommodate something that's on the order of 22 inches maximum, which, as you can see when I was doing the dry fit, scraped into this bracket a little bit, but it does fit just like barely, and that makes, I guess, fitting it pretty easy, because all I have to do is squeeze it in between these two and it'll hold nicely. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get this mounted. I think I'm going to use a little bit of red Loctite on the mounting bolts themselves, if I can squeeze my hand in there and actually thread them. You'll see it does come with 2 different mounting holes, depending on how much room you want between the bracket, or between the light and this front fascia here. Depending on where my light sets up, I'll choose one of these 2 holes and let you know why once I've done that. You just want to make sure you're not going to be rubbing or rattling on this at all. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mounted and meet back up with you guys once we start putting the connections for the wiring. Okay guys, I've gotten the bar mounted. If you happen to be using the same bar I am, or any other bar that measures exactly 22 inches wide, it does make life a little bit harder for yourself. The clearance between this rubber side part here and this bracket is very, very small when it's spread all the way out. And this bolt that comes with the bracket or the kit is not a hex bolt. It is, unfortunately, an Allen key, which you can't use a wrench on. You know, just like a socket wrench. You gotta get this in there, and there's very little room. A traditional Allen key does not have the space. I believe these bolts are number 5 Allen, but just to give you an idea, getting this in there, I can't even fit it with the bolt all the way screwed in. There's just not enough room there. So I had to use this sort of specialty Allen key, which I never thought I'd have a use for, with this sort of little stub bend on it to get in here, and ended up working quite well. So I got this tightened down. Now, I only have these keys in SAE. I believe this was 3/16, so it was a little bit small for the opening, but it worked quite well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that away, and then turn you around here. One thing I did want to mention was on this light bar, I have it angled at a slightly downward tilt, just because I don't want to completely blind everybody in front of me. I'm not going to have this on the road, obviously, but if you have somebody, you know, 100 yards away standing just looking at your truck approaching, if you're straight up or up in the air, it'd be even worse. So also this should help just sort of illuminate the road and not the sky. So when you're doing it, keep in mind how you want to angle it, but for me, I've always preferred a slightly sort of downwards tilt. So now that we have the light bar installed, we can reach up under here and pull this plastic protection film off. Got it all installed, no fingerprints. And next we'll hop over to getting this wired up. Okay, now this light bar has the cable running from the bar. I just, you know, ran it, snaked it behind this rubber cowl up in here on top of this frame rail, and just left it hanging for now. This is the time where we're going to connect it now. I said earlier, you know, I'll come back to this. This I ran yesterday. I've already connected it to my PDC, I guess my Switch Pro 9100, and the ground bolt in the engine bay. So these are ready to be hooked up now. You know, this is a lot of extra cable. I don't necessarily need it, but what I think I'm going to do is just coil it up and keep it here. What I do like about this is that it can easily be unplugged and plugged back in if for some reason I ever needed to remove this. Now, here's the sort of corresponding end to it. It plugs in. I'm going to obviously shorten this up, coil this up, and then make the connection under here, and then just connect these two. This is the butt connection end, and then this connection end. So I'm going to go ahead and make these connections off camera. You've seen me make connections 100,000 times. Don't need to bore you with it again. So I'm going to make these butt connections and then come back with you once it's all wired up, and then we can test it out together. Okay, I've got it wired up. You can see in here with the reflection of the flash, you can see the bar. It's a 22-inch bar, 22-inch wide bar from end to end. So it does fill up the space very, very well. I have to say I'm very pleased with my decision to go with the dual row. It looks just right at home inside the sort of the tall grille in the truck. One thing I did want to mention here real quickly before we actually go to testing it, if you can see here, this bracket right here, this is the bracket, the lower mounting point on the bracket that attaches to the sort of bolts that on the underside of this bumper are slotted in the mounting points. Make sure you, when you're tightening this down, that the bolt itself is all the way forward in its slotted position on both sides. If you don't, you're going to have an alignment issue with the light bar itself. Say this bolt is, you know, slightly back and this one is all the way forward. Then the light bar would be cockeyed and you'd be seeing light sort of sent one direction or the other. But that is really the only sort of troubleshooting you might have when it comes to mounting this. So without any further delay, let's go test this light and see how bright it is. Come into the truck. And as I mentioned earlier, had it wired up to the Switch Pro, so I have the sticker for light bar. Let's kick it on. And there it is. It is, as you can see, well, I don't know if you can see on the camera so much as you can in person, but it is a lot brighter than the factory headlights. Standing in front of this bar, wow. All right, down here is very, very bright. I will say the color matches factory very nicely, the 5700K. the difference between this bar and the Baja Designs bar that I've noticed, the main one at least, the throw is much more, is a tighter beam pattern. It doesn't spread out as much. Depending on your setup, this might be more what you're looking for, or maybe you want something with a wider sort of driving combo rather than a spotlight throw, but just keep that in mind. Now let's take a look at it from the front, and there you can kind of see the concentration. It's a very tight throw. Now my truck's on a slope, so it's shooting most of the light at the ground, but when you're on a flat area, you'll see it does illuminate quite a bit more, and you get an idea here of the throw. It's fairly tight. If you're interested in maybe a little bit more sort of a breadth, a wider throw, but you might want this light, then maybe think about adding a couple of maybe either DV8 or Dow Dynamics or Baja Design pod lights or ditch lights or something like that in your setup. But in terms of brightness, I'm very pleased. In terms of color, I'm quite pleased. I think my personal preference would have been for a throw to be a little bit wider, but I certainly can't complain. There's definitely plenty of light coming out of this, especially at this level here. There you can really get a sense for how much brighter the light bar is in the factory headlights. Again, that's 16,800 lumens, raw lumens, and about 4,700 lumens after the optics. So yeah, so far so good. I might do a follow-up video if there's any interest in about 5 or 6 months on how this is weathering, winter and car washes and all that. But I have a pretty good feeling at IP68 this will do just fine. All right, guys, I couldn't just leave it there, showing you guys the lighting in the driveway. So came out here to show you what it looks like on the road, and this is just normal headlights, and there's a light bar. So it's, as you can see, when it's not in the driveway, it's got a decent amount of throw to the side when it's not angled at the ground. Again, this is just normal headlights. Coming around this corner, I'll turn it on again once I'm sure there's nobody up ahead. This is about the darkest, road near my house I have. So again, normal headlights, light bar. Turn it off again. And light bar. So, and you can see it's definitely not like a huge wide throw, but it does light up straight ahead very, very well. Okay, again, normal headlights, and there's a light bar. So just see for yourself really how much more light that adds from the driver's perspective. I think with a nice set of ditch lights, this would be a really, really great setup to have on pretty much any ride. All right, guys, I am at the top of the hill now. Just thought I'd give you a nice comparison between headlights. Right now, this is just daytime running lights here, and then switch over to the factory headlights. And this will be factory brights there, just a little bit more on the uppers. And here's the light bar. So it's a little bit hard when you get the reflections close to see how bright it is on camera because the lens adjusts. But it's very, very bright in the center. As I mentioned, the Baja Designs bar does have a bit more throw from the sides. But for the money, I think this is a really, really great option, especially if you pair it with some side pod lights or ditch lights or something like that. That'll get you that throw and that closer sort of range, but give you the option to have it on or off depending on the type of driving you're doing. All right, guys. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, like the video. If you're not already, subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay tuned for more.